So that being said, yesterday there was someone in this space that was just fired up to talk about the second half of chapter 2. I mean, she just couldn't help herself. I had to keep pausing it. So I promised her today she got to start this an amazing story. Celeste, the floor is yours. What do you got?
You know, I am very much about this particular story. And when I say the story, I'll get to that in just a second. I was given this book, Think and Grow Rich, by a friend, Brian Schmidt. And in the front of the book, he said, whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Dream big. And when I hear people talk to themselves about what they can or cannot do, in my mind, it is almost as if they're just pushing a pin into a balloon that was in the place that it was growing. And then when they commented, oh, I don't do that, or I can't do that, or whatever, I'm bad at that, they stick a pin in that balloon. And what matters to me is the second half of this chapter specifically talks about his son's belief in what he was telling him. And it was unconditional. He didn't have something to temper what he was believing. I mean, he couldn't hear anything. So, I mean, he truly had just one voice in his head telling him he could do this. He could do this. And his dad would embellish the stories he was telling him at night to give him more reinforcement that these stories meant something. And I believe wholeheartedly that this process of him getting to a place where physically they said he was not going to be able to read or listen, hear, because there was no connection between his outer ear and his brain. I think God works in very mysterious ways. And he meant for this boy to listen, to hear. And I just feel like all of us should stop listening to the noise and believe when someone tells you you have magic, just go and do it. Russ is doing that with me, and I'm realizing I am my noise. And I need to stop doing that.
So what I want to kind of highlight here, because Celeste, everybody may not have gotten this far in the content yet. The author's son was born without ears. And in X-ray, there was no opening between the exterior of the skull and the interior of the skull. The medical world said this child will never neither listen nor speak. And that the author chose to disagree with the medical professionals. The author chose to believe that through faith and through perseverance and determination, he could create a different outcome, which, by the way, in reading the story, he absolutely did. And I love, Celeste, that you said shutting down your own chatter, your own story. And there's people around you that are going to see more. For those that have been in my space before in a room with me presenting, one of my commitments to everybody who said, yes, I'm going to join this journey with you, was this: I promise to stand for your greatness and your potential stronger than you hold on to any limiting belief. See, we all have this chatter. We have these limiting beliefs. And the more you present them to yourselves and the more you hold on to them, I get so blown away when I'm working with something and coaching someone on how strong they hold on to their story that's not serving them. No. How much they lean into all the why nots rather than the how to. And so once in a while, you got to borrow somebody else's belief. And here's the fun part. Everybody in this room, I promise you, believes in you more than you believe in you. So borrow them all and continue to grow through the leverage of others. Now, Julianne, I saw your mic come on. What do you got?
Okay, so yeah. I like towards the end, or I guess no, it's actually in the middle of this chapter where he is talking about, he's constantly breathing into us that in order to succeed, you must be a dreamer, all dreamers. I mean, throughout the first chapter, throughout the second chapter, you must believe in something that is not tangible as of yet. And that is what a dream is. And anyways, so here the state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Because that's what a lot of us, oh, I wish things would be different. Oh, I really hope to get a promotion. So those people really don't have a belief that they are going to accomplish these things. Open-mindedness is essential for belief, and closed minds do not inspire faith, courage, or belief. So he quotes a poem here, which really extraordinarily moved me. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty score. For life is just an employer. He gives us what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. And the words I put after that, I was like, this is a problem of self-worth. What is my worth? And people think, okay, I'm confident. It's like I read a book, it's called Worthy. And it's really a deep dive into worthiness and the difference and and this is just a prime example of people just not setting their goals high enough.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite examples of this in real life is Tony. So Don knows the story. He walked around. He made a plan. And guys, I am muting some of you. I've seen you come in, but I'm also hearing a bunch of background noise. Nafritha, you're next. I saw you, Melissa. The cameras on are a requirement. So let's go back a minute here. I'm getting my thoughts back together. Tony Robbins made a decision early on that he was always going to walk around with a large wad of cash. Just having that physical cash. And one evening he's on the street and some beggar comes up and asks, can I have a quarter? And so Tony reaches into his pocket, pulls out this wad, because it was in with his change of hundreds, and pulled out a quarter and gave it to the guy. Tony easily would have done more. So I challenge you not only to ask the universe for more help, ask each other for more help. You reach out, you ask, rather than getting in this story in your head. I've got to do it myself. I got to figure out. I got to start small and slowly build. Lean into those that are way ahead of you and watch the magic that happens. Nafritha, I see you. Ryan, I've seen you. I've got Melissa as well on my list. Nafritha, go.
So I was gonna bring up this other thing that I got, but Julianne made me think of another line that I underlined or highlighted. Of course, everybody's page is different, but my page is 28. And it basically says that O. Henry discovered the genius that slept within his brain, right? It goes on to talk about some other stuff, but that stood out to me, right? The genius that is asleep in our brain. And often we can't hear our genius because of the noise that Julian just brought up, right? It's so much noise So we can't hear our genius and we think that we don't or we can't do it. But the truth is we can. We just got to find a way to clear out the noise and tune into the genius with that belief that, hey, I could do this thing too. I thought that was so powerful, right? There is a genius that sleeps within your brain. So I wrote, it's about time you wake her or him up, right? And I'm talking to myself, right? It's about time I wake up my genius. Too long I've been sitting around doing this and doing that, right? Probably not doing the right things, or just probably sitting in analysis paralysis for me, or just for whatever reason. But it's time now for us to wake up our genius. But then the other part that stood out to me was, I don't know what page, oh, page 38 for is what I wrote down. And it says, desire had commenced to pay dividends, but the victory was not yet complete. The boy still had to find a definite and practical way to convert his handicap into an equivalent asset. And I thought, whoa, that is so powerful, right? How often we look at ourselves and like, I can't do this, or I'm not good at that, right? I'm trying to even teach myself to talk differently, to retrain my brain to think differently. But here it says your handicap has the ability to transmute into something that is equivalent at an asset, an equivalent asset, right? So this disadvantage that we may look at, right? So I wrote down here, right, the test, the trials, the tragedy, the lesson. Turn that into triumph. And the way we do that is we transmute our handicap into an equivalent asset. But then I had to think a little bit deeper. I can only do that by first being real with myself and identifying what is my handicap.
And think about this as it went into the content, Nafritha, from the power of the parent. The parent saying that. In mine on page 39, the work he did, what he was doing, it was designed to plant in his mind the thought that this affliction was not a liability, but an asset of great value. Man, I had the joy of a mom who planted those seeds. I mean, I know it's going to be hard to believe, you guys. I was the poster child for ADHD. And I was told from square one that it was a superpower, not a liability. When teachers would say this is a problem, mom would step in and say, oh, no. This is an asset. This is something to be leaned into. This is something to be figured out how to leverage and grow. So whatever maybe has been your story up to this point of something that's holding you back, man, I challenge you. Lean into it as the superpower. Embrace it as who you can be and watch what happens. Ryan Van Ornen, brother, you next up. Then I've got Melissa, if the mic comes or if the camera comes hot.
All right. So the first passage that I found was the 6 steps on here. So 6 steps into basically manifesting what you want to accomplish. In my book, it's page 42. First, fix your mind in the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient enough to say you want plenty of money. So I'm going to give you my example that I've already done. I'm a doer. I already told you guys this. $1,134,843. Is that precise enough? I think so. That's what I'm going to earn, and that's how I'm going to break it down. Second, determine exactly what you intend to do in return for the money you desire. Third, establish a definite date and when you intend to possess this money. So right here are all the streams of income that I am building currently. This will happen by December 31st, 2025. Fourth, create a definite plan in carrying out what you desire. Begin at once. Did it say think about it? No, it said begin at once. It says do it. Okay. So this, by the way, this book was written in 1937. You think things have changed? Yes, things have changed. Do you think that people still can take stuff from this book? let's just take this passage right here. It's talking about think and grow rich. This is the exact way to do it. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement about the money you intend to acquire and the time limit for this acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money and describe clearly the plan in which you intend to accumulate it. Sixth, read your statement aloud twice daily, once before retiring at night and once you arise in the morning. Oh my God, does that sound like affirmations? Does that sound like doing your morning rituals? Come on, people. This was actually 1937. Let's go. Okay. Do what you need to do. Here's my game plan. Who wants to know about it? Let's talk about it.
You could take any one of these paragraphs, Ryan, that talk about the time point, because you said, 1937. And yet let's jump into, I wanted to put this paragraph in, I highlight, so great transition for me. Never in the history of America has there been so great an opportunity for practical dreamers as now exists. A new race is about to be run. The stakes represent huge fortunes which will be accumulated within the next 10 years. The rules of the race have changed because we now live in a changed world that definitely favors the masses, those who have had but little or no opportunity to win under the circumstances existing when they were paralyzed with fear away from growth and development. Could that literally apply to today with what we've just experienced and witnessed of getting this election behind us? And it's so true. You all have the opportunity now. So next camera on. Alicia, were you on? I thought you were. And I saw your mic go hot, my dear.
Yep. Okay,
Well,
so
Alicia, what do you got?
can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so kind of two things that kind of tie in together. On page 25, tolerance and open minds are practical necessities for the dreamer of today. Those who are afraid of new ideas are doomed before they start. And then again on page 31, it says open-mindedness is essential for belief, and closed minds do not inspire faith, courage, or belief. So together, those kind of two things kind of tell me that on a scale of negativity and positivity, the closed-minded that doesn't inspire faith, courage, or belief, but the open-minded, it's a positive position. You're more receptive. Creativity can actually start just because you have the right mindset towards it in the first place. Even though you don't like where you're at, that's where the creativity sparks if you are receptive to it. And then on the other hand, I would say that you would need to be careful who you surround yourself with, because if those, I wrote down something in the margin. If the people who are around you are afraid of new ideas, if they're naysayers, they're going to kill your vision and your desire, and then ultimately they'll kill your success.
Stop telling me why not and start telling me how to. That's the open-minded piece. And if you're surrounded by people, and client, you're right, naysayers are often family that are telling you all the reasons why not. It can even be parents. And because they're telling you through their lens of their experience, they don't have the same belief that you do. And yet you hold on to yours and start showcasing that it's real. You lean in and never stop. All of a sudden you will turn them into believers. So Melissa, I saw you pop in. One of my requirements is cameras on. Are you having a camera challenge right now?
No, I'm just making my coffee and stuff, so I haven't turned it on yet.
We still want it on. We get Celeste in here doing her makeup sometimes. And it's okay. Show up as you really are. That's part of the breakdown of getting away from our story and thinking we have to show up a specific way. So please,
All right, I'll turn the
camera on and
camera
let's hear from you.
All right. I don't really have anything to say, but I'm just really happy about the election right now. So my mind's still kind of right there right now.
Well, that is phenomenal. I've seen your camera on. Tell me, is there anything even from the conversation today around the content that has got you thinking differently? And if so, by all means, let's hear about it.
Well, I just seen a lot of positive thinking and affirmations. I remember hearing about people doing a vision board, to manifest what they wanted in their life. And I feel like thinking it, reading it, writing it, talking to people about it is good. And that can manifest it into your life.
Well, that is absolutely what the content is telling us and what we are experiencing. You lean into just showing up and believing, and magic can happen. Justin, I saw you come in. You're next up.
Great. A little earlier, like right in the middle of the chapter. And we covered this world's filled with abundance, opportunity, dreamers the past never knew. I like the next sentence. A burning desire to be and do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. So I think everything starts with that be and do. And as we learned in bold, the following to that is to have. And then you go like a page or two in. Charles Dickens started in the pot business, tragic relationship, David Copperfield, blah, blah, blah. Disappointment over love affairs generally has the effect of driving men to drink and women to ruin. And this because most people, and this is the good part, never learn the art of transmuting their strongest emotions into dreams of a constructive nature. Helen Keller, blah, blah, blah. No one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. There's like little nuggets, and I love how it jumps like a paragraph, a person, a couple, and then this other nugget.
The fun part of this for me, Justin, in this section that you're hitting, is it really just comes down to faith. It's setting up chapter 3, which is right around the corner, because you got to believe, and you're absolutely right. That's part of the B. We've talked before, and some of you are new, so we'll go through it one more time. The model is be, do, then have. So many people will go through life saying, gosh, if I just had what that person had, I could do what that person does, and I could be like that person. And if that is your model, move to Colorado and have a doobie, because that's going to be the level of your success. So then we get a lot of people in our world in the real estate space, and I get it as a coach. All right, Russ, tell me what to do. Give me the scripts. Tell me what to do. Do. Because if I just do what you do, I can have what you have and I can be like you. And of course, as we've talked before, if you just focus on do, at some point, life becomes do. The reality is it's be first, which means how you're believing, as we're covering here, how you're behaving. All those things that start with B that relate to you, the human being, by the way, you're not human doings, you're human beings, will lead you in the right way. So you begin to just live and act and believe like you're playing at a higher level. And magically you will start doing the right things, which will then have you living that life. They all flow in order. Julianne, you got that mic on again, my dear? What do you got?
I do. Okay. So right before what you talked about, and also before what Justin just talked about, there's a paragraph that, it truly speaks to the magic of this book. Remember too, that all who succeed in life get off to a bad start and pass through many heartbreaking struggles before they arrive. The turning point in their lives, in the lives of those who succeed usually comes out of a moment of crisis. So it doesn't have to be just about love. Through which they are, and this is the key, introduced to their other self. So this is the genius within. This is your true self revealed. This is your higher self. This is where your purpose could lie. And that takes you all the way back to the first chapter, which we kind of skimmed over, the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. Now, that means that you're in charge. The decisions you make, the words you choose, what you do, who you hang around with, you are in control. And it's threaded through here because it's your other self. And if you think you're not being your true self, because there's some part inside of you that goes, oh man, I know I'm made for more, but oh, I really want to do this, but that's the hope and wish and want, but it's not a burning desire. So reveal it. And this is the book that can teach you to do it.
And that's what we're going to focus on. And part of that is eliminating what you put out there, Julianne, what I lovingly call the yeah buts. We'll say all the positive stuff and then we'll go, yeah, but this is reality. And no, the yeah buts go away. Glenna, bring us home. I see you in there. What do you got?
Well, I was going to say at the beginning, the author, when his child was born, had the belief and the faith that his son will hear. He refused to accept the reports of the doctor. And that was even before they did the x-rays. And when he was reading bedtime stories to him, he would speak at the base of his skull. And he did not know that was really going through his brain. And he found out later that's how his son can hear. And all his belief, without any doubt, that he was putting in his son received that and moved forward with it. Even when his mom told him, you can't go sell newspaper, you can't do this, you can't do that, he found a way to escape the home and borrowed 6 cents to go get his dream started.
Yeah, and
because
the
of
fun
all
part
the
in that,
belief from the parent.
yeah, the fun part in that is the belief was there, and then it led to trial and error. Speaking loud and seeing a little movement, and then getting the Victrola, the record player that the child connected to. It was all trial and error to figure it out. And each failure was just feedback on the plan to move forward. So guys, it is right at the bottom of the hour. So I am going to cut the recording.